Hey guys, it's Jane. It's Friday today and a beautiful Friday. It is. The sun is shining, the birds are singing. I don't have guests staying at my house anymore, so it's a beautiful thing. I don't actually have a great deal to say today. I only finished one book last week. That was Reamde by Neal Stephenson. It's a bit of a chonker, so that explains why I only got through one. I guess I didn't actually read it in paper this time. I have read this copy, but most of the time I've actually read it on my e-reader. And when I got to the end, I'm not sure how many times I've read this, but when I got to the end, I got to this screen on my e-reader. I'm just going to hold it up and see if I can hold it steady. 108.4 hours of reading. I've spent 108.4 hours of my life reading this book. Well, more than that, because I read it in paper one time as well. So that's 4.5 days. 4.5 days of my life I have spent reading this book. Not this week though. There wasn't a lot of sleeping went on this week, but enough so that I know that I didn't spend 4.5 days this week reading this book. Yeah, this is one of my favourite stories, clearly. Last year I did a standalone review of this book in which I read a couple of sections out to give a taste and talk about different themes in it and stuff. So I'll link to that below if anybody's interested. During the week I also started thinking about his next book, which is, I seem to remember there was some talk about it maybe coming next year, so I did a look around. And there is actually a firm release date for a Neal Stephenson book next year. It's the one that he's co-authored with Nicole Galland, and the title of it is The Rise and Fall of D.O.D.O., which I suppose is Dodo, but it's like an acronym. So I wonder what that stands for. From little bits and pieces that have been dropped that I've read, my understanding that this is a time travel story. Nicole Galland is a historical fiction author, so that would explain why she would be involved in a project like that. From other interviews from a couple of years ago, there was talk of another book, a book which may or may not be this book. The tentative title that I heard that it was called was Fall, which again could be this one, The Rise and Fall of D.O.D.O. But one of the things that was said in one of the interviews is that there are characters from Reamde that reappear in this book, Fall. Yeah, I am super excited about next June and a new Neal Stephenson book. But yeah, that was always going to happen. Since I finished Reamde, I have gone back and I've picked up another book from that list of funny books. I'm giving it one last try after I was sadly disappointed with the first book that I chose, which turned out not to be funny. So the book that I picked is called Someday, Someday Maybe, by Lauren Graham. Lauren Graham is, of course, an actress, and in my life best known for her role as Lorelei Gilmore in the Gilmore Girls, and so my library has it. So I got this one out and I've read just the first 3 or 4 chapters, and it's actually quite good. When you borrow a book that's written by somebody who's famous for something other than writing, you kind of don't have particularly high expectations. But so far, this is actually a relatively well-written, enjoyable, light read, and funny. So the story is about an aspiring actress in New York going to classes, going to auditions, working as a waitress, and the kind of arching kind of structure in it is that she's given herself 3 years to make it. And as the story opens, there's 6 months left of her 3-year time period, and nothing much has happened. So yeah, it's breezily written and I'm enjoying it, and that's what I will be reading during the weekend. The other thing that I mentioned last week is that I was going to a fancy dress party, and I'm going to take a little Elizabeth moment and go and show you all my costume that I made for the fancy dress party that I'm going to. Can anybody guess what I am? Can anybody guess who I'm going as? So now all I have to do is do a bit of baking so I can put some things in my goodie basket, and I'll be all set. I hope you're all well. I'd love to hear what you guys are up to and what you're reading, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.